Hey, people, why aren't you asking enough questions? It's a time-old question, right? And it begets further questions. Because here's the crazy thing. I was just helping out an individual about this on a team training, and people just aren't asking enough questions. And it's a crazy thing. You know you need to, and this person knew they needed to. And I've had a lot of people kind of reach out about this, but I thought I'd just make a big, broad thing on it. My 2 cents, right? But I think this is pretty clear, right? At least it should be, right? So the reason why people don't ask enough questions is because of a very interesting phenomenon. I call it beginner's luck syndrome. Okay, if you think about beginner's luck, okay, it's this particular phase in when someone's trying something new where they just seem to have like a miraculous skill. This isn't true for everything, like English football. If there was a Premier League, 11 men on one side versus subdivision, very small league playing against them, same amount of people, same age, they're still going to get their asses beat. There's no beginner's luck. You could run that game 100 times, right? Maybe they'll score a couple of goals on the weaker side, but it's all going to work out the same. You know what I mean? However, things like pool, things like darts, things like cards, there is a beginner's luck in this, and it's a phenomenon that's very common, and I don't know if enough people are asking why. But the reason why is this: think of when someone begins their sales journey. Okay, they get dropped into a role. One of the few things they're constantly thinking about consistently is, am I going to fucking lose this job? You know what I mean? We've all been there, right? And because they're so conscious of survival, we go into survival instincts. And so their retention is the highest, they're most game for coaching, the most attentive, all these things, right? But because they're in a survival flux, they're actually asking more questions than likely they will their entire career. A lot of people will, anyway, and those are the subpar kind of people, and I'll explain why in a second. But they're asking more questions at the front end because they're learning everything, right? Same thing as like a hysterical child, right? They're making so many noises because they're literally developing and understanding their voice box and their throat and their breath as they do it. Okay, so if you think of a graph like the beginner's luck kind of situations, when someone starts, they get straight into most questions, right? What caused you? What are you doing now? What would you change if you could? Any particular reason why you wouldn't show up for a call, right? It's like a child, again, with a voice box. I've got to understand how this thing works because I want to be talking like mama and dad. I want to be shouting at each other like they do. I'm joking, right? Although that was a bit of a window into the past. And then what happens is this crazy phenomenon. This is why the person that we're doing the training with kind of asked about this. In fact, his exact words were, how do I break the lizard part of my brain that consistently gets me to stop assuming? I tell you what, that's someone cold calling me right now. And whoever's been training this team to cold call me, they're shit. I'm half tempted to pick up that phone. Yeah, yeah, they were shit. I don't want to say the trainer, but I get that I recognize some of the frames that are being used there. Um, but yeah, so this person was directly asking me, how do I break the reptilian part of my brain? Because I know I need to be asking questions, but I keep on assuming. What they were doing was they were a financial wealth planner. They were having conversations with people, very high kind of level deals, high caliber clients, right? But the interesting thing on this training is that lots of people are running through the exact same thing, right? And so the question is like, why? Even though they know to do it, like why? So there's a couple of main reasons why. Most people, when you think of a disc profiling system, your personality traits are, if you don't know it, you need to go find out right now because that's really important in terms of how you sell and how you learn to sell. All right. But most people are like hugging towards the conscientious because that's where most people in terms of sales go because they relatively have high EQ. There's a reason for it, and I have multiple reasons, multiple trainings around this. But that's where most people hug, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a dominant, an influential, or conscientious or steady. What everyone is ultimately looking for is consistency because everyone wants to be the smartest person in the room, right? Steady people who are analytically minded and engineering people, they try and be more efficient by just getting straight to the data. Dominant, they just try and own the room. Conscientious and influential, right? Because they're people orientated. What they do for efficiency is they kind of skip the question answering because they're like, oh, don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I know what you're talking about. Let's get in some financial planning services, shall we? That's what's happening. All right. When you think of the graph, right, in terms of questions being asked as you begin your first like year or so with an offer, it immediately drops because you've heard all the answers before, and you're pretty damn certain what this person is about to say. And you're not doing it because you're an arsehole, because you're an idiot, or because you don't know what to do. You're doing it because you think it's right for the conversation. Now, here's the crazy thing, and this is what I see. I've trained 6,000 people in high ticket closing over the last 2 years, and this is what I see. The top performers, the actual experts at the back end, right? They rise up on the graph again and they start asking questions at the back end over and over again. Why? Not because they just relearned something. They always knew this. The reason why they start doing it is because, Llewellyn, I know you say that you need help with your financial planning, that you want to be in Barbados drinking Mai Tais with two beautiful women next to you. Or men. I don't know your style yet, right? I know all this. But when you say you need help around your financial planning, that means a lot of different things to different people we've been helping. How do you mean? Put me in your shoes for a second. Put me in your sandy sandals so I can just see if I can help you. Does that make sense? Right? The question frequency starts rising at the back end as you get to trust authority because I've helped so many people at this stage. I dare not assume by what you mean, right? Financial stress can mean a lot of different things, depending on if you have children, if you're married, if you're single, if you're dead. Okay? It's a real important thing, and I'm showing that to the community, right? Hopefully, this should really trigger some things for some people in terms of how to start asking questions again, because most people are stuck in this mid-tier area and they're just not asking questions again, not because they don't know they need to, it's because they're trying, depending on the personality type, for different reasons. And look, if you want to have if you want to have a conversation in terms of understanding your personality type, so you can actually break through that, let me know, right? Got some stuff around that. More than happy to help out. But they're trying to be decent people. They're trying to be good and efficient, right? Other than that, go crush your community and have a great day.